Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. So I have just finished this, sorry, I got a bit distracted for a moment there, sorry. I've just finished this journal and I promised you that I would show you it. So flip through. So it's a different one for me. It's a different type of binding. I don't think I've done this binding before, but I might be wrong, because I just didn't remember doing it, and when I was doing it I was obviously a bit confused. Anyway, so I'll flip through. Here we come. I'll keep it short and sweet, hopefully. There's not a lot of pages, so hopefully it won't be too long. So hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for your likes and comments, and thank you for watching my previous video where I did the work in here. It's much appreciated, and I hope you enjoy the flip through. So you would be able, if you are interested in making one of your own, then hopefully it gave you some ideas. So I just used a twine, hemp twine, piece to hold it all together. It's just literally held together with the pieces of cloth, the hinges. So okay, so I used a tissue paper, tracing paper, I beg your pardon, print on the front, just because I love this, and just added some collage and a little bit of lace there. Fairly simple. Every time I opened it or closed it or just worked at it, that got bent over, so I decided to put something there. So this is something I did a while ago, and it's just a collage that I've stitched, or sort of like a, I don't know what you'd call it. I did leave it so it could tuck something in there. Let me just see. Yeah, oh, maybe you could. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it's there for a purpose. So yeah. So that's what I did with this. I just glued it on here and made a tuck spot, and then I made a little envelope. Well, I had an envelope and I decorated it with various bits, and then I added this inside, just a newspaper cutting from a time when I lived in Greece. It doesn't say anything about Greece, obviously, but it's just an interesting image. And then I put this on, a little quote there, and then a bird, and I have that as well. So that goes in like that, and then that just tucks in there, and you can write on the back of that. So I've tried to make some writing space in this. So it is alphabetical, and I'll show you that. Basically what I did is I had an old dictionary, and I sort of tore out some of the pages and then glued them together to create a nice thick board. So it's quite thick, as you can see, and I did that in order to give the whole thing stability. I wanted these thick boards to take the pressure, and also I did originally want to do some painting and other mixed media on it. I haven't really done very much, but I'm still happy with it. I could still do some because there's plenty of space to do it. But I've also tried to give space for writing. I've done some little tabs, just, used whatever I had to hand. This is an eco die from, I'd say 2019 or 20, maybe 19. That was my first attempt at eco dyeing, and I was away staying in a beautiful cabin in the southeast of England, and I was doing a workshop, actually. That was it. So I had the cabin, and it was quite an expensive cabin to stay in. It was absolutely beautiful. I might put a video of up of some of it anyway. I'll see. But yeah, so I and I did this. So the workshop that I did was skep making. So my skep, I've explained what skeps are. So it's a bee skep basically, where you make it from straw. And I was doing that because I used to teach that as well. And then in my own time I was doing these. I was sort of gathering plants and I was doing these. So that was a long-winded explanation. I did some swatching, and I made a pocket here, and then I made a little pocket here. I'll just pop that back in. So I made a little pocket there, and I've just got, this is it, also an eco dye, a little square of it, and there's this, which was where I do some painting on tissue paper, and this was called Organic Cloth. And I just thought that was quite sweet. You could write on that as well. This is a jelly print, and then obviously I've added a flower and a tab, and I've kept that fairly simple. Could write on there with a black pen. I did think I might do some stamping on that, and I may well do. On this side, we've got a pocket at the very back there, and I just added this. Again, this was done quite a while ago now. It was the ghost print off a napkin. So I used the napkin on something else, but this was the second layer, and I just thought that was interesting. I can write on that. So that goes right at the back behind the envelope. And then this is the card that's in the envelope. This is from that newspaper from Greece that I showed you. It was just, I thought it was interesting. And this obviously is an envelope that I've added there with a little bit of collage. And then there's a pocket here as well, just a fabric pocket, and then just a little card in there that you can write on. And that just tucks in there. I think it's, yeah, it's glued there. On this side, I've got quite a few bits and bobs. I've done a ruffle, and I've stitched it with embroidery thread. You can see there. And then I added a pocket. This was pocket, or I think I did, yes, I did that first. So I'll just lift that up. And then in here we've got a few little bits and bobs. So as you can see, it's alphabetical, A, B and C. The hinges that I showed you before, this is something you can write on. That's Rudy, you can hear in the background. He's at the window and he's looking out. This is a piece of wallpaper that I've glued some brown paper on the back, and you can write on that, decorate it. Well, I'm saying you, this is mine, so I can write on it. This was part of an oil painting. It was a swatch that I did for a larger painting. And yeah, I was really happy with how it came out. So this was a long time ago. I mean, I used to paint. I wasn't a good painter, but you know, I liked to paint. And then yeah, as a fine artist, I was more into sculpture and installation. You know, I recognise my limitations. But yeah, I really enjoyed making sculpture with my hands. I was obviously better at that. So just pop that back in there. So yeah, so that's that page. And then on this page, hopefully you can see, again, I'll just lift this off. So this flips out like that, and I left this blank so that I could write on there. But I really like that. That image is just absolutely stunning. I love it. It's a ruby and pearl image. And then underneath I've got this that I can write on, and left this page so I could do some more mixed media on there as well. So, but yeah, really happy with that. And I could actually just pop things like that inside. So, you know, just slide it in because it's open. So yeah, so that goes in there. I'll leave that off for now. On this side, you saw me doing this if you watched my last video. So I made a sort of, you know, a tuck spot from this it's a cloth for the table. I forget the name of it now, but you know, it's for your drinks and things. There's sort of matching larger ones for the table, but this is hand dyed cloth. I dyed this year, and I used Dog's Mercury. I thought, oh no, I didn't use Dog's Mercury for this. I used Nettles. I thought it would come out darker, but again, it came out quite light. This was my second attempt. And I used, the mordant that I used for this was soya milk. Let me just show you, actually, I've got a piece here. This is a little bit darker, you can see. I quite like that. I purposely didn't try to make it the same all over, so when you see spots where it's a bit lighter, that was on purpose. I didn't want it all just a blank green, you know, just, yeah. But I like the colour, I think it's nice. That's from Nettles, and that was mordanted with, as I said, with soya milk. So it was a bit different. So yeah, so in here I've just tucked in some bits. So I tucked in that. This is from Jibid Neri. If you go on her website, you can find these for free. There's a few of them. There's a set of 4, I think. Her own, oh, it should be that way around, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yes, of her own eco dye, eco printing. So Jibid Neri, have a look on her website, and you will find those, and then they're free. And there's a large one as well, so there's 4 smaller ones and then a large one, and I believe they're all free, or they were. And then again, I could do some mixed media on there. I've left it. I did that just because I like that image. It's blurry, by the way, in case you think your eyes are going funny. It's a blurred image. I don't know why they did that. Hang on a minute. Yes, so then on this side, let's just close that up. So on this side, we have a print, a stamp, and it came out well. I've stamped with this before, and it never seemed to come out very well, but this one came out really well, so I was quite pleased with that. So I've just left it as it is. I could decorate it later on, but I like that, and I can write on it. This is handmade paper. I made it a few years ago now. I'll take it off and show you. Again, I can work on that side, but yeah, handmade paper, made probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's got petals in it, as you probably can see. Oh, what have I done there? So yeah, so that goes in there. Then this is, I made this from it's a magazine page, and I thought it was really interesting. It's a photograph. Oh, you know what? This is, oh yes, the person who did it was, I think that's the name of the person who did the photograph. Zhe Yarlin, Myanmar, in Fujian province, China. Doesn't look like a photograph. Can't be a photograph, surely. Anyway, it's a piece of art, whatever it is. But I just loved that image. I thought that was really interesting. So, and then I added this card just because I really liked it, and I thought it went well. And it was nice and big, flexible, loads of space to write on there. And because I've left this blank, I can write on there as well. So they all go in there. I'll just give it a little tie. So it doesn't all flop out. And then on this side, take that off. We have this which flips out, and I just added this little scrap because I really liked it. It was from a magazine and I loved the colours, and I thought that would be really nice in a journal somewhere. So I've added that, and then added this postcard from a pack of postcards that I've got. It's quite old, I would say maybe 1910, something like that. Yeah, I think so. I think it's Edwardian, and if that's the right time period, I don't know. And then I stamped this a while ago. I had and I keep them, you know, I've got a few of them. I did, it's sort of like a session where I just did stamping on pieces of paper and card, and I added a flower petal there, so they all fit in there. I'll leave that there like that, and I'll put that on here. Okay, and then, oh yeah, see, this is what happens when you do this. So then on this side, I have some pieces of paper. So I'm going to take this off again. So I fussy cut this out, but I added a little bit of writing space on the back there. I love this. This was from a magazine, and I can't remember the name of the magazine now. Oh, that's really frustrating. Anyway, it's really nice. I fussy cut it out, and I thought, you know, it went well. It's a few little papers to use, and then this, which was paper that I hand dyed, and I really like the texture of it. I think it's petals and things like that I dyed it with, or something like that, plant stuff anyway, and that all sits like that. I really like that little cluster. And then on this side, this isn't a page in the book, it's but I, you know, added it. It's a pocket. It was an envelope, I think, and I made a pocket out of it, and I made a tuck there. So you've got the tuck spot there, and then you've got a pocket here. So they could go in there, and then these could go in here. And basically, yeah, it's just pieces of paper that I've added just if I want to do anything with them. That was an envelope given to me from my daughter. I wish that it had been tucked in rather than, but it's still lovely anyway. It was a special, something special inside. So that goes in there. And then I made this little card. Just, this is jelly print on the back, and then, you know, a book page and a stamp. Very simple, and that's, you might not be able to see that, but it's a stamp of a bird, and it's just on some scrap paper. Don't even know if it opens, does it? Not really, but yeah, I like that. It's subtle, but I like it. Okay, so that goes in there. And on this side, I just added lots of bits to make a collage. I can't say where that's from. I think it might be Ruby and Pearl, but I don't want to say for certain. This is from Paper Mill Download. That's just from a magazine, I think. This was a jelly print and a stamp that I did last year. I think, no, not last year. Well, yeah, it might have been last year. Yeah, that's on newsprint. And I think I might have used the back to do something, because it's got this jelly print thing on. This was also jelly print, but I've added it separately. And then I made this not that long ago. I think there's probably a video if you scroll back. I enjoy making these sorts of clusters with, you know, bits of fabric and lots of different papers and things. I love that. That's one of my favourite things to do. So now we're back on to the normal pages, the book pages, and I've just added bits and bobs. So I've added this little label there. I've added this. There was a rose here, you might remember if you look back. I didn't like it though. Just every time I opened it, it just jarred with me. So I put this over the top, did a collage and then put this over the top. Butterflies, got some stamping. It's got a nice tab and then some, forget what that is now. Ruffle, paper ruffle. Rudy's making funny noises. And then again, this was a jelly print from about 4 or 5 years ago. I know it was before I moved, so it must be 4 or 5 years old. I think it's intriguing and I love it. And then this is a book page. I didn't want to cover the back up, so I put some newsprint on there, and that's just some paper, that scrap paper that I've got there, and that just fits there. And I love this image. It's a painting, but I can't remember where I got it from. I think it must be from a magazine or something like that. That looks to me like it should be, yeah, it looks like it should be that way to me, but it's that way. Yeah, so you can't, oh, look at the back's gorgeous as well. Oh, how pretty is that? So it must have been from a magazine or something. Very nice. This was a little sketch from I don't know when I did it. But yeah, I've decided to add it in. Lovely sort of a sticky label there. And then, oh dear, never mind. On this side, I made a card from a magazine image and a stamp. It's on tissue paper. And then I also added this. This is one of those machines, that thermal things, and I really haven't found much of a use for it, I must admit. It's a bit of an impulse buy, but I quite like this. I thought that was quite nice. It's just got it's got a bee step actually, so I used to make those. I'll show you. I haven't made one for a while, so it's this thing here. You can see part of it. For those of you who are not familiar with them, they're the traditional beehives. Anyway, yeah, I haven't made one for a while because it hurts my hands and my back, and you know, for those of you who know, I do struggle with chronic pain, so you know, I don't want to make it worse. Having said that, I would like to make one. I've sort of feel like I've got the bug again, so I might start making them again. On this side, let's see, what have we got? We have some handmade paper. This was made in 2003, so it's over 20 years old, handmade paper. Isn't that incredible? 2003. And you can see that I just added all sorts of little bits of paper and magazine pages, all sorts of things. It's amazing. Stamp. Oh, another eco die. This is again from that time when I was away, the very first time that I made them. I did this to add a little bit of writing space there. I like that image, and I popped that on there. That goes that side, I think. And then some card and a little label. So actually I don't know if that did go there. I don't think it did. I think it went on the other side. So I'll pop these on. There, and that can go in there. So you've seen all of that. And then on this side, I love this. So you'll see why I did this in a minute. So I love these words. I'm fascinated by how the natural world and city life coexist. It's us invading nature. But I just love this. And I got it from a magazine, I think. Let me just see if it has a... No, it's somebody's artwork though. And I just can't remember. And the same with this. So when I took this off, this was on the opposite page, so I couldn't rip it out altogether, so I just, you know, stuck it on, so its tail continued. I just love that. And you can write on here and you can write on there, but I love it. I love both sides of that. Pocket with a label and a tab, fabric tab. On this side, put that on because I liked it. Look, obviously paint swatches. Rudy's groaning. He does this when he sits in the window and he can see birds and things and other dogs and what have you. And then this is an impression that I made of leaves using the embossing thing. I forget what they're called now. It was an idea that Sasibo came up with. Sasibo is another YouTuber. She's very well known. She comes up with some great creative ideas, and this was one of them. So it's basically putting your plant matter in between pieces of paper and then pressing them down with your embossing machine. I forget what they're called now. This was some of that tissue paper that I painted and added to the page, and then I added this. I made this sometime this year. If you look back, you should see it. It's either this year or late last year, but I did it fairly recently. A little ruffle there made of a map page, so there's a lot going on there, but I can tuck something in there. I left it open to tuck. Lots of writing space there as well. Pop that back on there. Pop it back on. There we go. Here I've just pulled this down like this, and then we've got a magazine page or a book page. It's a book page. Isn't that beautiful? And I can write on the back. That's beautiful as well. I had a little cluster here. There's a flower, real flower there. Hydrangea petal. H for hydrangea. Yeah. And then on this side, we've got a tuck spot here. I made these last year. Again, clusters of paper, some stamping, and some jelly print there. This is just some old vintage paper. An image that I like. This is henbane and a stamp, and they go in there. And then on this side, I've got a tuck spot here. I've added a flower petal from a daisy flower from quite a long time ago. It's been sitting in a box, a tin that I need to use up all the petals and things because they're really old now. But I like that there. Stamped paper there. I added this, which is just a little fold out. I could write on that. That's from catalogue. Not seeds, herbs. They don't do the floral one now. They used to have lots of flowers inside the catalogue on the pages, and they stopped it when I got it because I always, relied on it to cut off. That's just a sketch of a buttercup and a little image of birds from a magazine, which is just adorable. And then on this side I've got a pocket here, and I've just added bits and bobs in there, like a collage. I've got a page of butterflies there. This you can write on. So yeah, just some very simple thing in there. You can use it that way or that way. Quite like butterflies there. And then I made a pocket here. So I've made a ruffle in gold paper, and then spotty gold tissue paper, and then just this from a magazine or somewhere. I thought it was intriguing, so I really like that. And then I just added that. It was just random. It was available and to use, and I never used Tim Holtz things, but that's from one of, he used to do the snippet thing, and that's one of them. But I love this image going up the stairs. Isn't it beautiful? It's absolutely gorgeous. That blue wall and the old wood. Oh, stunning. I would love that. I have a staircase that looks like that, but white. They've painted it white before I moved in, and then well, a long time probably before I moved in. But yeah, it's like that and open, but obviously not that beautiful wood. Yeah, and then some writing paper, and that just sits in there. So the pocket is only this deep. And then I did a fold out here. So I added this image. That is from the same image as that. It's from the same page. So it was, yeah, part of the same thing. From a magazine or something, or a book. I think it's a magazine. And I just think it's beautiful. I love it. And then on this side I added paper that you could write on, and then there's a collage here, a real rose there, and some beautiful linen, old linen fabric there. I just love that, you know, the rose especially is quite old, and I've just added that in there. So I love it all. I'm really, really happy with it. That's the last page. Some writing space. So yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not particularly well, I mean, it's simple, but it's also full of lots of nice things that I hoard and keep. And then I decided I was going to add in sort of that paper I'd been hoarding for quite a long time. These images I hoard as well when I have them. I've had that for ages, you know, and then bits of my own crafting, artwork, whatever, and my own flowers that I've dried over the years, paper that I've made and stamped and done lots of things with. So it's full of things that I've done creatively, those eco stamping and what have you, painting, stamping, you know, jelly printing. So it's full of things, little sketches, just things that that's part of the same magazine. And those sorts of things which I love making. They're my favourite things to make. Jelly prints, collage. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I really loved making it. I had a fun time actually, because sometimes you get, well, I do, I can get stressed making things like this, but I didn't get stressed with this, I can tell you. And I was really happy to use that up because, you know, it's in a newspaper that had just been hanging around for a long time. So yeah, and more of that, some painting, and back to the front with this, handmade. So lots of lovely things in there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back. I've got another one on the go. It's actually got a very similar front, but this one will be slightly different, but I'll show you it soon. I might actually, because I've put everything together more or less, I might actually decorate this with you guys, so we'll see. Okay, so I'll pop that back there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back. I've got another sewing project that I'm really excited about that I'll share with you shortly. Yeah, so I'm just putting the idea together. And I'm excited to be back, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to commit to at least one a week. Maybe 2 a week if I can manage it, but definitely 1 a week, fingers crossed, apart from when I'm away and things like that. That's slightly different, but yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for all your support, lovely comments, etc. I really appreciate you all. So take care everyone, and bye for now.